Hi everybody, and welcome back to Middle Grade Book Talks. My name is Heather. I'm a children's specialist with the St. Paul Public Library, and I'm excited to share a couple of great books that I read last weekend. Now these two books, as far as setting, time period goes, they couldn't be more different. Let me explain. The first book takes place in the 1800s off the coast of Massachusetts on an island called Martha's Vineyard. And the second book takes place during modern times in Arizona, more specifically at a Western-themed amusement park. I loved both. What unites these two stories? Well, we have protagonists who are strong, brave, both have a sense of adventure, both have endured some things in their lives, and both live with a disability. I want to mention that you can find these books at sppl.org. They come in print copies. They also come in ebook versions. So let's get started. Show Me a Sign by Anne-Claire Lizotte. 11-year-old Mary Lambert lives in a house filled with grief. Her brother died just 6 months ago, and Mary feels partly to blame for that. But life does not slow down when there's cooking and cleaning to be done, and also the occasional mischievous outing with her best friend Nancy. In fact, many things are pretty constant and routine in Mary's world. She lives in a small community on Martha's Vineyard, and no one thinks it's unusual that a large number of people, herself and her father included, are deaf. When the Reverend introduces a visiting scientist who is there to study the deaf community, Mary is immediately suspicious. And for good reason, for which you will learn about in part 2, which takes a nail-biting turn as Mary becomes his subject of study. This is an extraordinary piece of historical fiction told through Mary's eyes, and it really captures the nuances of life in a small community and also the underlying tensions between the English settlers and the native people, the Wampanoag, and also a freed slave named Thomas who works for Mary's father. The writing is so strong and so engaging. The author is actually, she's deaf and she is fluent in American Sign Language, and she includes notes at the end of the book which I loved. Remember, this is historical fiction, but it is actually grounded in a lot of fact. There was actually a large deaf community in this area during that time period, and you'll learn why. You'll also learn about the rise of deaf education and about the Wampanoag people. I learned so much. This goes on my list of best books of 2020. Show Me a Sign by Anne-Claire Lizotte. Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusty Bowling. It would be one thing if 13-year-old Avon were just stared at for her bright red hair or her impressive soccer skills, but nope. She's stared at for an entirely different reason. Avon was born without arms. She was adopted at birth, and Avon learned pretty early on that she could actually do most anything other kids could do. She would just have to use her toes. So from eating to playing the guitar, Avon's a pro. And her friends, they just see her as Avon. They don't see her as a girl without arms. That's about to change, though, because she's starting over. Her family is moving to Arizona, where her parents will run a Western-themed amusement park. In fact, they'll live in a small apartment right at the park. How cool does that sound? School is rough. Tired of eating by herself in a bathroom stall, Avon ventures to the library one day where she hears a bark. Yes, a bark. That's Connor. And Connor explains to Avon that it's one of his tics. He has Tourette syndrome, which is a condition where he makes involuntary sounds. Along with a third kid named Zion, who is shy about his weight, the three of them begin an adventure at the amusement park where they discover a room filled with secret letters and an old photograph. And in the photograph is a girl who looks just like Avon. As they pursue this mystery, they become sort of a source of strength for one another, and their friendship deepens. This all sounds pretty serious, huh? It's not. It's also hilarious because Avon is so funny. She has a different story for everybody who asks, how did you lose your arms? wrestling with an alligator. Why not? She also is an avid blogger, and her top 20 list for reasons why it's fantastic not to have arms is pretty funny. Number 17, no push-ups. Loved this book. There's actually a sequel. You can follow her into high school in the momentous events in the life of a cactus, but don't start there. You will want to start here with Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusty Bowling. Thanks everybody for watching Middle Grade Book Talks. It was a pleasure doing this again, and I hope those books intrigued you. And if you're looking for other great books featuring kids living with a disability, I will be putting up a book list in the next couple of days. You can go on sppl.org to look for that. And if this is your first time watching one of these videos, or you've seen many, you know that every time you watch it, you then get an assignment, right? Your assignment is to go out and tell somebody about something that you have read, or retell a story if you want. But share with people. Stories are so important. And other than that, everybody, thanks again for watching, and keep reading.